When the first blip appeared on Horizon Crest's long-range sensors, Commander Lyrics frowned. He had seen many strange readings in his career. He had seen comets that moved like living things and small worlds that sang with lightning. But this blip felt wrong. It was clean and steady, like a heartbeat in the dark. It did not match any pattern in the database. The signal was strong enough that the ship's scanners could not ignore it. Lyric stood with his hands folded behind him, watching the main display. The bridge hummed with a quiet energy. Young officers tapped at consoles and spoke in low voices. Outside the thick viewports, stars flowed slowly past, pale and bright. Horizon Crest slid through the void on a slow course, its mission clear. It chased knowledge and kept the peace for Xyrath Prime. Spec Ops Specialist Taver, Lyric said, "Bring the signal up. I want a full analysis." Taver moved to the nearest terminal. His long fingers skimmed the interface and a new stream of data rose on the screen. The flaring glyphs showed the signature growing. The ship had been on a long survey in a quiet region. Nothing here had ever returned readings like this. Taver's voice was careful. "Commander, the energy output is unexpected. It is high. It is focused. I cannot match it to any known drive type." Lyrics's mind worked fast. The Xyrathi had cataloged dozens of drive systems. Each species had its own marks, its own way of shaping space. This reading did not fit any. It was not the wild thrash of a pirate craft. It was not the slow pulse of a cargo ship. It had the hard ring of a warship built with precision. Outside, on the dark curve of space, the human ship moved. From the scans, it was a shape of steel or alloy. Horizon Crest's sensors sketched an outline and then could not proceed. The human hull absorbed some wavelengths and returned others in odd patterns. The scanners made guesses and then stopped. Lyrics felt a small chill. "Bring dense spectrum imaging," he said, "and keep it passive, no active pinging." A passive scan widened the net. The image that came back was jagged and incomplete. The hull seemed to drink certain bands of energy. The ship's engines gave off a faint hum that suggested more power inside than the hull's size would allow. Even the small things were wrong. Where there should be joints and seams, the human ship showed a continuous surface. Where there should be antennae and sensors, there were panels shaped like ribs. Lyrics had a picture of what a warship might be. This was not that. It was something else, a thing that hid things. The human captain on the Resolute sat in a chair that had no belt or strap. Aaron Blake watched his own screens with a calm that came from years at sea and space. He had been a ship captain long enough to know when a test was routine and when it was unusual. This evening his crew had begun a series of low-power checks. They were far from any charted lane, deep in a sector with no friendly traffic for years. The plan was simple. Test the reactors at 20%, check shield harmonics, run a quiet diagnostic over the external hull. Maria Collins, his navigation officer, had been cataloging background radiation when she said, "Captain, I'm picking something up on long range. It is faint." Blake leaned forward. He liked simple reports. He liked truth that sat close to the face. "Show me." Passive only. No hail. Laura Mitchell on communications had her hands folded in her lap. Her role had taught her patience. She had a file of first contact protocols in her head, lines and tones practiced into muscle memory. She watched the doorway to the bridge, and she watched the display where the image from their sensors grew more clear. Daniel Brooks, the engineer, looked up from the engine readouts. He was plump and quick, and he liked to make quiet jokes about engines being stubborn children. He shrugged when the alarm readout stayed calm. Maybe it's a rock, maybe it's a study drone, or maybe it's the sort of thing that gets dinner ready when you forget to cook. No one laughed. Both ships stayed quiet. Neither fired a ping. Neither flashed a signal to the other's hull. They hung in the black like two cautious predators who both sensed the other and both wanted to know what it might do. On Horizon Crest, a specialist named Vila whispered, "It uses mass fields in a way that makes the outer hull appear smaller on scans. It confuses our instrumentation. I have never seen field geometries like this." Taver met Lyrics's eyes. "Commander, the reactor signature. Many of our historians would call this impossible. Our physics can model such power only in theory, not in a single hull." Lyrics did not let fear move him. He was a scientist and a soldier in small measure. He had seen truth many times, and truth did not always hurt, but truth could be dangerous. "Keep patience," he said. "We will observe, we will understand." He thought of the Xyrathi scholars who loved full surveys. They would want to take hull samples and bone fragments if they could. Lyrics hated thoughtless interference. He sent orders: maintain distance, record everything, do not engage. The crew did as they were told. On the Resolute, Captain Blake thought through options. He imagined a small Xyrathi research craft and a big misread. He considered the tone of first contact initiatives. He thought of treaties signed in ink and plasma. He had read reports from the Academy about strange life forms and strange drives. He had not yet been asked to test the limits of diplomacy with the unknown. Tonight might be the night. He weighed the risk. A human warship was a tool of last resort. The crew had spent long years learning how to be precise and how to hold back. The captain wanted to be kind until there was reason not to be. He set a small rule in the air: be clear, be deliberate, be human. The human ship's quiet hum did something the Xyrathi ship had not expected. It created small eddies in the local space where dust and charged particles bent. Horizon Crest's fine instruments felt the change like a hand passing over a calm pool. The captain of the Xyrathi smelled metaphorically of new salt. He thought of war and history and the way small events could topple old balance. On Horizon Crest, an officer asked to speak. "Commander, I recommend we move a scout to visual range. The data would be cleaner." Lyrics paused. He had rules too. His people valued knowledge but feared rashness. "Not yet," he said. "Our presence may change the behavior of that ship. If it is a weapon, we must not let it think a threat exists. Keep to sensors, keep it passive." The hours dragged. Lyrics took soft sips of a bitter tea and watched the readouts. He could see, sometimes, the ship's outline in more bands. Sometimes a seam opened to reveal what looked like a maintenance bay, and then the seam closed. The alien mind can be quick to jump to conclusions. Lyrics refused that. He forced the slow work of patient study. On the Resolute, Captain Blake decided to test one tiny system at lower power. He wanted to know whether the other ship would react to radio or to a narrow laser pulse. They sent a harmless burst of light in a tight band. The human tone of the message was sterile and polite. It carried no threat and no deep pattern. It was simply a signal that said, "We are here and we greet you." Horizon Crest registered the pulse. For a moment the bridge fell silent. Taver frowned and the screen filled with impossible numbers. Lyrics felt the ship itself pulsing as the human signal touched their sensors. It was as if the human had laid a hand flat on the instrument panel and said a single clear word. "They respond quietly," said Lyrics. Taver's voice had a small edge. "They're motor fields. They manipulate gravitation in a way that keeps mass compact. If true, it is not just power. It is an architecture. It changes how a ship stands in space." Lyrics thought of the old tales. There had always been myths among the stars, stories of species that could shape gravity, stories of weapons that burned like suns. Myths live because people need fear and wonder. Lyrics's lips moved, though he did not laugh. "Prepare a diplomatic transmission," he said. "Use standard phrases. Offer observation and peaceful contact." Taver hesitated. "Really? Offer to meet them. Commander, our predictions show their systems could deliver destructive force beyond our capacity. If they were hostile, we would not stand a chance." Lyrics had weighed the risk. It is a tight thing, courage. He thought of the studies that said fear often makes enemies where none should be. It seemed better, he decided, to meet peace with peace. "They are on their own course. We will not provoke, we will invite. If they are hostile, we will retreat. But I want to know." The message they sent was careful and full of small courtesies. It used no aggressive codes. It suggested a neutral rendezvous point far from any settlement. Horizon Crest sent the data and waited. The Xyrathi held their breath. On the Resolute, Laura Mitchell read the incoming packet. She felt a careful thrill. The ship's training had drilled her to remain calm and polite. Her fingers moved over the console. She translated phrases, made sure the tone felt right. Then she spoke to Captain Blake. "They sent a peaceful approach. They request a neutral meeting." Aaron Blake nodded. He had expected something like this. He also felt a tiny pressure at the base of his skull, the sort of pressure that came before a heavy decision. He thought of his crew and the families who had sent them off. He thought of the mission logs of his ship and the code that said do no harm until harm comes. "We will accept," he said. "We will keep distance. We will not force them. We will make clear we are not their enemy." The human ship adjusted course, at no more than a slow fraction of their speed. The Resolute's captain wanted to be careful. They set their shields on a low posture. They opened channels for translation and for backup. A small team prepared to go out in a scout pod if necessary. The men and women who would go wore calm faces and practice the manners of peace. When the two ships moved toward the meeting point, both bridges fell into a focused silence. The Xyrathi watched the human hull with a mixture of awe and a small, creeping fear. The human crew watched the Xyrathi vessel with the same. Two sets of creatures who had never met before now shared a moment of doubt and curiosity. On the bridge of Horizon Crest, a junior officer whispered, "If they are dangerous, why are they so calm? If they are weak, why do their systems sing as if they hold a star?" Lyrics answered without pomp. "Because we do not yet know what it means to be them. Calm can be a mask. Strength can be quiet. Our task is not to make them under our fear. It is to understand them." The meeting point lay in a black pocket between two cold stars. The space itself seemed empty, a place where the light of passing suns reached slowly. The Resolute and Horizon Crest arrived on schedule. They kept 400,000 kilometers between them and opened comms on neutral bands. The first voice they heard was neither the rich tones of Xyrathi nor the clipped human consonants that the automated translator guessed. It was a voice that had learned to make itself clear across many strange frequencies. It said simply, "We come in peace." The bridge leaned forward to listen. It was a human voice, but not a woman's and not a man's. It had calm and steadiness. On the human side, Laura read the translation and felt a small spark of pride. On the Xyrathi side, Lyrics felt something like relief. For hours they spoke. Little by little, they formed a bridge. Questions about sensors and power, about philosophy and motive, rose and were answered with care. Taver asked about drive architecture. Maria asked about fuel and food supplies. Daniel joked about engines and got a polite smile. At the heart of the talk lay a single truth. The humans did not brag. They did not boast of the ship's power. They told of a need to survive in a hard system long ago. "They had built tools out of stubbornness and necessity," said Captain Blake, "and those tools had become more than tools. They had become a way to keep people safe." Lyrics listened and learned. He watched Captain Blake's face as he spoke of home, and he began to realize that the thing that made the human ship strange was not just metal and energy. It was a history of choices, fearful and brave, that left fingerprints on a hull. As the first part of the night passed, the two crews settled into a cautious friendship built step by step. Horizon Crest would not yet call the human a friend, but it would not yet call them a threat either. Both captains knew the slow work had only begun. The truth of the human ship remained large and quietly dangerous, and both sides would take time to touch the edges of that truth. The Horizon Crest moved in a slow path around the rendezvous point, its engines humming with a soft and steady rhythm. The crew felt the weight of the moment. They had made first contact with humans, a species that had been only a rumor for years. Stories had spread through the galaxy that humans were strong, wild, and shaped by dangerous worlds. Some said humans were a force that could break empires. Others said they were explorers who only fought when they had no choice. Commander Lyrics did not trust rumors. He trusted evidence. He sat in his chair on the bridge and watched the faint outline of the human warship Resolute on the long-range display. The hull reflected almost nothing. The sensors caught only bits of data, never enough for a full picture. It was like the ship was wrapped in a gentle shadow that moved with it. Taver worked quietly at his station, running new scans. He had not slept much since the first signal appeared. He was curious and worried at the same time. The human ship had so much hidden power that even the smallest reading made him pause. He ran another scan and frowned. "Commander, the readings show more strange results. Their reactor is stable but very strong. It is much stronger than anything we have ever seen in a ship this size." He paused before adding, "It is not overloading, it is not stressed, it is simply powerful." Lyrics listened closely. "Is the power spread evenly across the ship?" Taver tapped a few controls. "Mostly." but there are pockets where the energy spikes. It is like they have small gravity engines inside the hull. They appear to control the pressure on the ship's structure. This lets them carry more mass without breaking apart. Lyric stayed silent as he thought. The idea was bold. The Xyrathi had studied theories about gravity engines, but they had never come close to building one. If the humans had done this, it meant they were far beyond what the Xyrathi had guessed. "Keep watching," Lyric said, "but no active scans. We do not want them to think we are planning something." Tavern nodded and returned to his work. On the Resolute, Captain Aaron Blake stood near the central display. He kept his voice calm, even when the crew looked uneasy. The Xyrathi ship was smaller and lighter, but it held a quiet dignity. It was clearly built for science and exploration, not war. Maria Collins sat at her console and watched the soft blips of the alien ship's movements. "They are keeping a respectful distance," she said. "No aggressive maneuvers, no attempts to get closer." Blake nodded. "Good. That means they want peace as much as we do. We will match their tone." Daniel Brooks stepped onto the bridge with a tablet in his hand. "Captain, the outer hull picked up some light particles of their scans. They are not trying to break through. They are just curious." "Curious is fine," Blake said. He folded his hands behind his back. "We are curious too, but we must not forget that first contact can be fragile. Even small misunderstandings can become large problems." Laura Mitchell sat at her station, monitoring communication channels. She adjusted her headset and listened to the faint hum of translator software. "Their language patterns are complex," she said, "but we have enough to communicate simple ideas. They seem very careful with their words." "Good," Blake replied. "Careful is better than quick. This meeting must continue with patience." The two ships orbited the empty space around them as the hours passed. The meeting point was quiet, with no planets nearby. It was a place where no one could hide and no one could claim territory. Lyrics decided it was time to learn more. He called for a small survey drone. The drone was thin, light, and shaped like a small disc. It had no weapons, only sensors and a small engine. "Send the drone into neutral space," Lyrics said. "Do not approach the human ship. Just observe from a distance." Vila launched the drone. It glided through the darkness, sending back images and data. The view of the Resolute came through in clear detail. The hull was smooth and dark. The engines were silent on the surface. Something about the ship felt old and new at the same time. "It almost looks alive," Vila whispered. Lyrics understood what she meant, though he did not say it aloud. On the Resolute, Maria noticed the drone. She leaned closer to her screen. "Captain, they have launched a small observer craft. It is staying far away." "No threat," Blake nodded. "They want to learn more about us. That is natural. Let them observe. Make sure our systems remain at low activation." The drone circled slowly, recording everything it could. It sent the data back to Horizon Crest, where Taver studied the images with deep interest. "Commander," he said after several minutes, "their hull has layers upon layers of alloy. Some parts look like they were reforged many times. The design is not just technical. There is a pattern. It looks like the ship has been upgraded again and again. It is like a patchwork of everything they learned over centuries." Vila added, "It feels like the ship has a history." Lyrics agreed. "A ship with a long history can be dangerous or wise, sometimes both. We will not assume anything yet." Back on the Resolute, Daniel Brooks watched his own monitors. "Their drone is gathering a lot of readings," he said, "but they aren't pushing. They are being polite." "Then we will return that politeness," Blake said. "Send them a message of acknowledgement." Laura nodded and typed a short communication. "We recognize your observer. We remain peaceful. Let us continue learning about each other." The message went out. The Xyrathi received it and displayed it on their screen. Lyrics read it slowly. "They respond with respect," he said. "That is a good sign." The two crews continued to study each other from afar. Little by little, both ships formed a picture of the other. The Xyrathi learned that humans built ships that could endure extreme stress. The humans learned that the Xyrathi used delicate instruments that were precise enough to detect even small changes in gravity. Later, Lyrics decided they had gathered enough distance data. He wanted to understand the human warship more deeply. But he also knew direct movement could cause fear, so he sent another message. "We request a closer approach. We will keep our engines at low power. We will not use weapons. We want to observe your ship with our own eyes and allow you to observe ours." Captain Blake received the request and thought carefully. Trust was something that needed time to grow, but refusing the request might make things harder. He turned to his crew. "Thoughts?" he asked. Maria said, "They have shown no signs of aggression so far. If we refuse, they may think we are hiding something." Daniel added, "Their ship is not strong enough to harm us, not unless they have hidden weapons. But even then, a close approach does not change the danger." He paused. "I believe it is safe enough." Laura said, "If we accept, we should remain ready, but I think trust grows best when both sides move forward." Blake listened to each voice. Then he nodded. "We will allow them to approach. No sudden moves, no powering up weapons." The Resolute sent back a simple message. "You may approach. We welcome peaceful observation." When the Xyrathi received the message, the entire bridge relaxed slightly. Lyrics gave one clear command: move forward at slow speed. Maintain a safe distance. Observe carefully. Horizon Crest glided through the darkness toward the human ship. The closer it came, the larger the Resolute appeared. Its hull stretched across the screen like a mountain of metal. Every detail grew sharper, and every detail brought new questions. "The texture of their hull is strange," Vila whispered. "It is smooth but not flat. It looks like it can change under pressure." Taver added, "There are patterns of heat inside the hull. It means they have inner layers that shift or move. This might be part of how they control gravity." Lyrics did not speak for a long moment. He felt awe rising in him. He had seen great ships before, but this one was something else. It was not built to show power. It was built to endure anything. On the human ship, the crew watched the Xyrathi vessel draw closer. Its pale lights glowed softly against the dark, giving it a peaceful and almost delicate appearance. "They are brave to come closer," Maria said quietly. Daniel nodded. "Curiosity can make even a small ship strong." When the Xyrathi ship reached a closer distance, both ships activated visual projectors. For the first time, each crew saw the other without sensors. Lyric stood and watched the massive human warship fill the center of the screen. It looked like a sleeping beast, calm but capable of great force. Blake watched the Xyrathi ship appear on his display. It was slender and bright, shaped like a silver leaf gliding through the dark. Each side stared, wondering what thoughts filled the other's mind. Lyrics finally spoke. "Send them a message. Tell them we wish to learn more about their ship's structure and the purpose behind its design. Make it clear we only ask, not demand." Taver sent the message. On the Resolute, Laura read the words aloud. "They wish to understand the purpose of our ship's design. They ask with respect." Blake nodded slowly. "Then we will tell them some truth, not everything, but enough to build trust." He dictated a reply. "Our ship is designed to protect our people. It has grown through many years of work and many difficult moments. We built it not for war, but to make sure we survive any danger." The message arrived on Horizon Crest. Lyrics read it twice. He felt the meaning beneath the words. "They built this ship because their world demanded strength," he said softly, "not because they wanted to conquer others." The crew listened. Some felt comfort, others felt unease, but all of them understood something new. The humans were not reckless. They were shaped by hardship. Hours passed as more messages went back and forth. The two ships exchanged simple knowledge, nothing sensitive, nothing deep. They learned small things about each other's ways. They learned how each species handled fear and diplomacy. Lyrics began to feel something surprising. He felt respect for the humans, not because of their power, but because they carried that power carefully. Captain Blake felt something similar. He respected the Xyrathi for approaching gently despite their fear. Both ships stayed in the quiet space between two stars, learning slowly. What neither side knew was that this careful beginning would shape many events to come. This meeting, with all its silence and questions, was the first thread of a story that would stretch far beyond anything they imagined. The quiet space between the two stars held the Resolute and the Horizon Crest in a slow dance. Both ships kept a steady distance, close enough for visual exchange but far enough to respect each other's comfort. The crews had begun to settle into a rhythm of cautious communication. Words were shared with care. Questions were shaped gently. Trust came in small steps. But as the hours turned into a full cycle, deeper questions formed on both sides. Each crew wanted to understand more. Each wanted to know the truth behind the other's strength, weakness, and history. Commander Lyric stood at the center of the Horizon Crest's bridge. his eyes fixed on the calm outline of the human ship. The Resolute looked peaceful, almost asleep, but he could not forget the energy readings from earlier. Under the surface, the ship held enough power to reshape battlefields. It was like a calm ocean hiding a deep storm. Tavor stepped forward with the latest sensor report. "Commander, we have detected another strange reading. It comes from inside their ship. The gravity inside shifts by small amounts. It is not dangerous, but it is unusual." Lyrics turned to him. "Explain." Tavor brought up a display showing faint curves. "These shifts suggest that they use gravity not only for movement, but also for balancing their internal structure. It means their technology is built to function even under extreme conditions. They prepare for the worst in every design." Lyrics understood the meaning. "They are a species that expects hardship. Their ships are born from survival, not comfort." Vila added quietly, "It means they have faced dangers we cannot imagine, dangers strong enough to shape their engineering in this way." Lyrics nodded. "Then we must be careful. A people shaped by danger may act fiercely if they sense threat." Meanwhile, on the Resolute, Captain Aaron Blake reviewed the latest readings from Horizon Crest. The Zyrathi ship was small but elegant, built with fine instruments and advanced sensors. It was clear they valued knowledge more than power. Unlike the human ship, which looked like it had survived storms, battles, and the weight of time, the Zyrathi vessel felt young and almost fragile. Maria Collins looked up from her console. "Captain, the Zyrathi are studying us with more precision now. They are still passive, but they are getting closer to understanding how our systems work." Blake folded his arms. "That is expected. We are doing the same to them. We learn and they learn. That is how trust grows." Daniel Brooks moved closer, rubbing his hands together as he thought. "Their sensors are very delicate. It is impressive. They can pick up tiny changes in our gravity fields. That means they can also detect tension or sudden movements. We must stay steady. Any sharp change may frighten them." Laura Mitchell added, "I have studied their messages again. Their language structure is gentle. They try very hard not to sound aggressive. Even their questions are soft and careful." "Good," Blake said. "Then we will answer with the same care." The crew relaxed a little, but the mood stayed serious. They knew first contact was a fragile thing. One mistake could break the trust they had begun to build. A soft alert rang through Horizon Crest. Lyrics turned quickly. "Report." Vila pointed at the screen. "Commander, the passive sensors have detected something unusual from the human ship. Not hostile, just unusual energy waves." Tavor checked the readings and widened his eyes. "It looks like a gravitational ripple, a controlled one. They are adjusting their ship's internal fields. It means they are preparing for a small operation." Lyrics felt a sharp worry rise inside him. "Are they powering weapons?" Tavor shook his head. "No, the energy does not match weapons. It is too soft and even. It is likely an internal calibration." Lyrics let himself breathe again. "Send a message to clarify. We will not assume anything." The message went out. "We detected a change in your ship. Please confirm it is safe." On the Resolute, Laura read the message and showed it to Captain Blake. He nodded slowly. "Send a reply. Tell them it is only a ship calibration, nothing more. We do not mean harm." Laura typed the message and sent it. "Calibration only. No threat." When Horizon Crest received the reply, the mood softened. Lyrics sat back in his chair. "They responded quickly and honestly. That is good." Tavor smiled slightly. "It is a good sign." But trust was only one part of the growing relationship. Both sides needed more than polite words. They needed understanding. Lyrics decided to take the next step. "Prepare a formal request. Ask them if we may exchange cultural information. Nothing sensitive, just simple things. How they live. How they understand the world. It will help us see who they really are." The message was sent. It took several minutes before the Resolute replied. Laura read the incoming message. "They want to exchange cultural information. Simple things only." Captain Blake nodded. "Accept. Let us start with something easy. Send them a short record of human daily life. A simple description, nothing political, nothing secret, just normal life." Laura prepared a message describing human meals, human work routines, human schools, and human families. The message was warm and simple. When Horizon Crest received it, the entire bridge gathered around the display. The information felt personal but peaceful. Vila said, "Their young study many things. They work hard. They build strong bonds with their families." Taver added, "Their world must be demanding. Their training begins early." Lyrics studied the message's calm tone. They value cooperation. They value strength. They value survival and care. These are good signs. In return, the Zirathi sent their own message describing their culture. They explained their long life spans, their slow and peaceful education, their planet's gentle seasons, and their strong focus on science. When the humans received it, Blake said quietly, "They are peaceful, calm. Their world shapes them differently from us." Daniel smiled softly. "No wonder their ships are light and quiet. They were never forced to build for war first." Maria added, "We must be careful not to overwhelm them." Time passed. The two ships exchanged small pieces of knowledge. Each message made the gap between them a little smaller, but peace cannot stay simple forever. A sharp beep cut through the Horizon Crest's bridge. The tone was different, urgent. Lyrics turned quickly. "Report." Taver's face tightened. "Commander, I detect faint signs of instability in the space around us. A small gravitational distortion." Lyrics frowned. "Natural or artificial?" "Unclear," Taver replied, "but it is growing." At the same moment on the Resolute, Maria's console flashed. "Captain, we have a spatial shift. Something is forming in the distance." Blake stepped forward. "Show it." The screens on both ships displayed the same image, a ripple in the dark like a wave moving through space. It spread outward in slow rings. Lyrics felt uneasy. "It is unstable. If it grows stronger, it may affect our ship." Blake felt the same concern. "That ripple is not natural. Something is coming." Both crews worked fast. On the Horizon Crest, Taver tried to stabilize the ship's sensors, but the distortion made the readings jump. "Commander, the distortion is pulling energy from nearby space. It may form a tear." "Back us away," Lyrics ordered. The Zirathi ship began to move. On the Resolute, Daniel Brooks shouted from engineering, "The distortion is strong. It is trying to tug at our mass fields. If it grows, it may damage weaker ships." Blake's eyes widened. He looked at the screen showing the slender Horizon Crest. "Maria, keep an eye on the Zirathi ship. They are too light. They will be affected more than us." Maria checked her readings. "Captain, the distortion is pulling them faster than us. Their engines are too small to counter it. They may not escape in time." Blake made a fast decision. "Prepare our stabilizers. We will help them." Laura looked up in surprise. "Captain, if we activate our stabilizers near them, they will feel our full power. They will see things we have not explained yet." "Better they see our power used to save them," Blake said, "than watch their ship break apart." The Resolute powered its stabilizers. A deep hum moved through the hull. On Horizon Crest, alarms rang. Taver shouted, "Commander, something massive is happening near the human ship. Their energy output is increasing." Lyric stared at the readings. "What are they doing?" Suddenly the space around the Zirathi ship steadied. The violent pull weakened. The sensors cleared. Vila gasped. "Commander, they stabilized the distortion. They saved us." Lyrics watched the human ship glowing faintly with controlled energy. He felt something shift inside him. He had feared the human's power. Now he saw that power reaching out not to destroy but to protect. The ripple in space slowly faded. The danger passed. For a long moment neither ship spoke. The silence felt heavy and meaningful. At last Lyrics sent a message. "You saved us. We owe you our lives." On the Resolute, Blake read the message quietly. "Reply simply," he said. "Tell them this, we protect our friends." Laura sent the message. When the Horizon Crest received it, the words spread through the ship like a warm wind. Lyrics closed his eyes for a moment. "Friends," he whispered. The bridge crew felt something change inside themselves. Fear loosened its hold. Respect took its place. In the silence that followed, both crews knew the same truth. Trust had taken root. And nothing in the galaxy would ever be the same again. The danger had passed, but the memory of it stayed with both crews. The space ripple had shown how quickly peaceful moments could change into fear. It had also shown something deeper. It proved that the humans, with all their power and unknown abilities, had chosen to save the Horizon Crest instead of using their strength for anything else. Commander Lyrics looked at the calm display on his bridge. The human ship Resolute floated peacefully once more, its engines soft and stable. The earlier glow of its powerful stabilizers had faded. Now it looked quiet again, but no one on Horizon Crest would ever forget what they had witnessed. Taver stood beside Lyrics and spoke softly. "Commander, I keep thinking about what they did. They used energy levels far beyond anything we can reach, but they controlled it like it was nothing. If they had used that power in anger, we would not have survived." Lyrics nodded. "Yes, but they did not use it in anger, they used it to help. That is what matters." Vila added, "The more we learn about them, the more complex they seem. Their strength is great, but they do not show it unless they must." Lyrics looked at the faces of his crew. "We will not fear them because of their strength. We will understand them, and we will continue building trust. That is the purpose of this meeting." Meanwhile on the Resolute, Captain Aaron Blake looked at his own crew with quiet pride. "Good work," he said. "You reacted fast and kept the ship stable. More importantly, you saved lives today. That matters more than anything." The crew looked relieved but not relaxed. They all knew that the Zyrathi had seen the true depth of their ship's power. Maria Collins said, "Captain, the Zyrathi will have many questions now. They saw something we have not explained." Blake replied, "Then we will answer the right questions. We will do it slowly and carefully. First contact is delicate, we will not overwhelm them." Daniel Brooks scratched his head and laughed nervously. "I just hope they don't think we can do that all the time. That move was risky even for us. The power needed to stabilize that distortion was huge." Blake nodded. "True, but we could not let them be pulled apart. It was the right thing to do." Hours passed while both ships recovered from the event. Engineers ran checks. Scientists analyzed readings. Every system was examined, every sensor cleared. Finally, a message came from the Horizon Crest. "We wish to speak with your captain directly. We want to understand what happened and learn your intentions going forward." Blake read the message and nodded. "Prepare a secure channel. I will speak with Commander Lyrics myself." The call connected. The image of the Zyrathi commander appeared on the main display. His skin glowed faintly in the soft light of his bridge. His posture was steady but respectful. Lyrics spoke first. "Captain Blake, your actions saved my ship. We are grateful. We owe you a debt that cannot be expressed in simple words." Blake shook his head gently. "No debt, Commander. Any good crew would have done the same. We will not let a peaceful ship be lost if we can help it." Lyrics studied the human's calm voice. "You acted with great control. You used incredible power and yet showed no aggression. That is rare in the galaxy. Many species gain power and then use it to dominate. But you did not." "Why?" Blake thought before answering. "Because we know what it feels like to be weak. Humans have faced hard worlds, difficult times, and dangers that almost ended us. We learned to be strong because we had to, but we also learned that strength means nothing if it harms the innocent." Lyrics softened his stance. "Your words have weight, and now we see your strength with our own eyes." Blake added, "Strength is only good when used with restraint. That is how we choose to live." There was a long pause. Neither side looked away. Lyrics then said, "Captain Blake, I want to meet face to face, not as strangers but as equals. I want our people to start something new, something based on trust." Blake nodded. "I accept. We will meet on neutral ground between our two ships." Plans were made. A small shuttle from each ship would meet halfway at a floating platform designed with both species' needs in mind. The engineers worked quickly, assembling a modular deck with gravitation fields stable enough for both species. When the time came, Lyrics boarded the Zyrathi shuttle. His crew watched him with hope and worry. He said only, "This meeting decides much. I go with an open mind." On the Resolute, Blake stepped onto the human shuttle with Maria and Laura beside him. Daniel wanted to come, but Blake said gently, "Not this time. I need my engineer watching the ship." Daniel saluted with a grin. "Bring back good news." The two shuttles drifted through the empty space and met at the platform. The surface activated as they approached, creating a stable environment between the two stars. The doors opened at the same moment. Lyrics stepped out first, his movements calm and dignified. Blake followed, tall and steady. The two leaders faced each other. For a long moment, neither spoke. They simply looked at each other, understanding that this moment was bigger than either of them. Finally, Lyrics said, "I am honored to meet you, Captain Blake." Blake replied, "And I am honored to meet you, Commander Lyrics." They walked to the center of the platform. Maria and Laura stood behind Blake. Two Zyrathi officers stood behind Lyrics. The air felt heavy, not with fear but with meaning. Lyrics began the conversation. "We have seen your power today, but more important, we have seen how you use it. You could have stayed away. You could have protected only yourselves. But you reached out to save us. Why offer friendship to strangers when you could have chosen caution? Blake answered, because the galaxy is large and full of dangers. We do not want to face it alone. And we believe that peace grows when someone takes the first step. Today, that step is ours. Lyrics tilted his head slightly. Then let this moment be the first step between our species. Let us build trust. Let us share knowledge. Let us face the unknown together. Blake nodded. Agreed. The Zyrathi officers relaxed. Maria and Laura exchanged hopeful smiles. The two leaders continued speaking, asking questions and giving honest answers. Lyrics asked about the humans' world. Blake described Earth's storms, mountains, and oceans. Lyrics asked about human history. Blake told him about struggles and victories, mistakes and recovery. Then Blake asked about the Zyrathi home world. Lyrics described forests that glowed at night, gentle weather cycles, and long years spent learning and teaching. He spoke of ancient scholars and peaceful traditions. As they shared their worlds, a bridge formed. The meeting lasted for hours. By the time they finished, both leaders knew something important. Their species were different but not incompatible. They shared values, curiosity, caution, loyalty, and hope. As they prepared to return to their ships, Lyrics said, "Captain Blake, today has changed everything for my people. We came here fearing you. Now we return believing in something new." Blake smiled softly. "Today has changed much for us as well, and I hope this is only the beginning." When Lyrics returned to Horizon Crest, the crew gathered around him. "Commander," Taver asked, "what happened? Did they speak truthfully? Do you trust them?" Lyrics looked at each member of his crew. "Yes, I trust them. They showed us their strength and used it to save us. They answered our questions without pride or anger. They seek peace." Vila felt relief wash over her. "Then what happens now?" Lyrics smiled gently. "Now we continue the journey, not alone but with new allies." On the Resolute, Maria asked Blake, "How do you feel, Captain?" Blake looked out at the distant stars. "I feel hope. Humanity has walked alone for a long time. It is time we walk with others." Laura added, "The galaxy will change because of today." Blake nodded. "Yes, and we will be ready." Both ships prepared to travel together for a short while, sharing data and learning from one another. The Horizon Crest flew beside the Resolute, small and slender, next to the large human warship, like a bird flying beside a guardian. In the quiet space between the stars, something new had begun. Not fear, not suspicion, but friendship. And from that friendship, the galaxy would one day remember this moment as the first meeting that changed everything.